Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I was thinking about Mahomes today, though. When he started the game, he didn't have an incompletion to the second quarter. Is that I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. Peyton Manning, as good as he was a teeth clencher. Elway had some really bad big games. Brady was mostly an early game manager. I can say it now. Mahomes is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I can say it, and I've watched Marino and Elway. You know I love Brady. Now, Brady's more productive. But what we're watching here is a player that against the best defenses, in the highest leverage moments, the biggest audience, the most pressure, best defenses, is significantly better. Not better. Significantly better than he is in the regular season. His playoff numbers, they don't make sense. It would be like Derek Jeter was a 300 hitter, hitting 370 in the postseason. It's like, wait, time out. What are we doing here? When I watch Mahomes, I'm like, okay, he made a throw today, and it was Travis Kelce made a great catch. But he was running. It was a muddy pocket. He moved forward, and he just sent a little floater up. And it was like Thanksgiving backyard football, and it was completed. And I thought, nobody cares about that play. I honestly today, in that environment, juxtapose watching Lamar and him. And I'm like, if Lamar's number 2 in the league, the gap between those two is the Grand Canyon.
Well, Lamar's not number 2 in the league. Josh Allen is. And listen, they're never going to go on record and say this, but I'll promise you, Josh and Spags have more fear facing Josh Allen than they do Lamar Jackson. Like that's not crushing the guy. He had a great season, but he's not as good as those two guys. And you saw it was on full display today. It was on display the first half a week ago against the Houston Texans. Like he can be rattled really easy. And to me, Mahomes, I'm with you. The Brady thing is going to be hard, even if he wins a couple more and ever get to the
LeBron
6.
and MJ, because it's just there's so much production and titles and trophies from MJ, but LeBron does significantly more things better than MJ.
I mean, last night he had like 20 rebounds against the Warriors. It was incredible. He's got gray hair all over his face. He's got 20 rebounds beating the Warriors. The thing that Mahomes does that parallels Brady to a T is in these big moments. Now, he can do a sexier play because he can move around in the pocket. Tom could not. They never fuck up. They just refuse. And in the second half, and Romo kind of mentioned this, it's unsexy to say this word, but when you get a lead in a big spot, the game manager aspect, or maybe Bill Cowherd did. He's like, he game managed like a Hall of Fame player. No one on the other team is touching the ball. Anyone around me, I'm either getting rid of the ball, throwing it out of bounds. You're going to have to beat us, but you're not going to beat us because I give you something. And Tom and the Patriots were elite at that. Peyton would screw up. He would throw the ball to the other team sometime. Had some awful interceptions in some big games, right? The teeth get tight. He gets loose, but he's very under control. A lot like Tom. It's like they're super focused, but they're very calm and loose. How many guys in the history of sports have had that? Like Tiger, Michael, Tom. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny list. Derek Jeter in the playoffs, maybe. Big Poppy. Most guys just naturally get a little tight. You saw Jared Goff. He just kind of felt a little tighter. Lamar, the pressure, you can feel it. You don't even need to be at the game. You can feel it on the TV. You're like, God, this drive's huge. And then if you don't get a 2nd and 8, all of a sudden you're like 3rd and 8. You're like, oh, the coaches clench up. Everyone clenches up. And this is where the championship blood and the championship medal. I saw it when I lived in the Bay Area with the San Francisco Giants. It all starts at the top. And I'm telling you, Andy Reid, if you talk to anyone that plays for him, they're like, his team meetings after losses, wins, they all feel the same. He's not a yeller and a screamer. He does not invoke tightness anytime you're around him. He's naturally kind of loose. He's not a big screamer, but enjoy, but he's not a big downer in the negative times. So I think it all starts with him, and he has the perfect quarterback for him. But to me, Patrick, the maturity today to be in full control on the road against a great defense, like you said, early in that game, that dot he threw to Kelce down the seam was like, it was like, it would have been like watching Michael Jordan in 97 or 98. Like, good luck, guys. You're in for one.
The throw to Kelce when Kyle Hamilton, he was on a single side by himself, and it was first, Kelce made a hell of a play. First time all year a tight end beat Kyle Hamilton for a touchdown. And after that throw, I'm like, he's on one. Okay,
Isn't Kelsey also a good? We talk a lot about Mahomes and Andy, but think about Kelsey all year long. You're like, is this going to be his last year on the Chiefs? Are they going to ask him to take a pay cut? Like he's kind of getting old. What happens when the playoffs start? Looks like the Hall of Fame A- guy. Now may not be as dominant as he once was, and
he was great
at 32,
today.
33 years old, but he's still. It's like a throwback, like Scottie Pippen, like Michael looking at him like I need you, and Travis like I'm ready. And he said it all week. He's like I've never wanted a game more than this game. Like these guys, their level of focus and obviously their talent is second to none. But today, it was watching greatness. Like that game was. No. Were you shocked? You didn't think they would dominate like that, did you? Like the Chiefs?
The Niners Lions looked exactly like I thought. I said on Friday, I said Detroit will probably take the lead. They're a great first half team. Ben Johnson. I said Purdy will play from behind. It'll be good. It'll be close. If Debo plays, I said he'll make 2 or 3 big plays and they'll win. I think I predicted the score would be 34-28 or 34-27. So that game, now I didn't expect the meltdown and the huge lead, but the final result was San Francisco just made more big plays. Their physicality took over. Detroit was not quite ready in the moment. That's what I thought I would see. It just how we got there was different. I do not remember ever a playoff game with what I perceive to be a great team being more wrong. That game, first of all, my entire belief on the game was, they're going to pound the rock, make Mahomes sit on the sideline, and it was Kansas City that had a 9-minute drive. The game looked the opposite of what I looked like. I thought Baltimore.
The time of possession, I remember they put it on the screen one time. You're like, this is insane.
And they abandoned the run. Like I thought it was going to be Baltimore lead. Kansas City can't quite keep up. In the end, Baltimore couldn't score. They abandoned. They didn't abandon the run. They never ran. They never attempted to run.
Yeah.
So that game. Okay, so let's talk about this.
How do you match the experience with the coaches on Kansas City? When you think about Andy's now been in the league for 30 plus years and all the Spagnuolo can lean back on the games against Belichick and his experience. It's pretty special.
Defender of Lamar. I love how much he cares. Every year he gets bigger, he gets better. And we cannot deny he's a better pocket quarterback today than he used to be. No question.
Fantastic player.
I did think today it is now fair to say not quite the same in the playoffs. I defended him forever. I used to say Peyton Manning wasn't the same in the playoffs. It's hard to win in the playoffs. Today, and again, I'm not blaming him. He had no run support. I hated the game plan. But he melted a little late. And I think it's fair to say, and he had a couple of bad throws. I do think it's fair to say that he tends to be run-centric. He can melt a little. He's not as good from behind. Most aren't. But when you watched him and Mahomes, I'm like, some of the criticism is just now. I defended it, but it's just.
Well, from a specific football standpoint, he got fidgety today. He got rushed. He looked like the younger Lamar, where in the playoffs, when it wasn't going Baltimore's way, he would one read and then kind of scramble around and kind of scramble within the pocket, and it just throws everything off. Instead of all season long, now, granted, they were beating the crap out of most teams, right? He was very under control. It's like, well, if this is the version of the player, I'm all in because he's calm, kind of moving around. Today, he got very fidgety. He felt very uneasy about 2 seconds into the plays. And part of that, I think, gets back to the immense amount of pressure in a spot like that against that opponent. And you start going, we're down. You just naturally kind of freak out. Now, maybe we look back in a couple years and he wins a game like this and he says, going through that experience helped me out. But today he resorted back to the guy. Like I said this last week, everyone shitting on Josh Allen. Was he perfect? No. But I never watched for a moment and thought I wouldn't want that guy on my team. If you put that guy on a team that's stacked, you're winning with that guy. It was not his fault. He did not look overwhelmed. I'm not saying Lamar looked overwhelmed, but I need you to be in complete control. The moment you get fidgety, it's the Peyton Manning thing in the playoffs. You're playing the best of the best. He used to lose to the Patriots. You're playing Andy and Mahomes here. They're not going to screw up, and this defense is solid. Like, just live to fight some other, get a 7-yard gain, right? Complete some balls. The balls were flying on him. The rain started coming. But to me, he was very, very uneasy in the pocket. And that, to me, you kind of knew it right away. Like, you could feel it. And it happened against the Houston Texans. And then he came out a different guy. Why? They started running the ball, calmed everything down. he never calmed down. Their
Well,
offense never calmed down.
Monken didn't do him any favors. The way to settle a quarterback down is get him a run game. By the way, second half, Niners, Christian McCaffrey peeled off a couple big runs. Everybody comes down. The temperature in the room comes down. Little swing past to Debo. Debo breaks tackles. The sideline play to Kittle. It just brings the temperature down. It gets the crowd into it. So San Francisco, after a rocky first half by Purdy, what are we going to do? Let's get him some yards. Let's not put the pressure on him. They never did that with Baltimore. They just kept dropping him back. By the way, and Spags is bringing extra people. Baltimore can't block him. So at no point did Baltimore say, listen, because they saw what you saw. God, Lamar's frenetic here. Let's get him help. Nope. They just dropped him again with 6 rushing and 5 blocking.
If I told you this morning that before the game kicked off, the Chiefs are only going to have 17 points, you would probably assume they're going to lose, right? Like I didn't envision a spot where they could win 17-16 or 17-13 or 17-10. But what happened today? Awful pick in the end zone in a triple coverage. Karlaftis gets a big strip sack against them. Obviously, the Chiefs came through with turnovers. You can't afford to have the 49ers overcame the pick, Purdy. It was early. They would not have been able to overcome a pick in the second half, and let alone countless turnovers. Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson, the fumble strip sack. I mean, you're not overcoming that against, the new dynasty. It's not possible, but it starts with him. I mean, the whole building, I would imagine every guy and female that bought a ticket felt it early, like, oh, we're in trouble. This quarterback looks a little off kilter. And let's face it, he was.